I'm going to demonstrate a short hand reflexology routine for relaxation. So if you're feeling stressed out, you're having trouble sleeping, or if you just want to learn a technique to help you instantly relax, this simple routine will help to calm your nervous system and give you instant relief and relaxation. Hand reflexology is really simple to do. It's practical, it's discreet, and it's accessible anytime. In reflexology, all of the body's systems and organs are mapped out on the hands. So we're going to work through some points that are linked to stress and linked to the nervous system so that we can actually feel that full relaxation through our mind and body. So we're going to start by taking some deep breaths with our solar plexus reflex. The solar plexus is a key nerve centre linked to calming your nervous system. So first we're going to find the diaphragm line. So for me, it's right along my lifeline, so it's quite easy to see, which sits on the underside of your knuckles. So if you find that line that's just beneath, you can feel your knuckles just above. And then for the solar plexus, it's right in the centre. So it sits between your middle and your ring finger. So we're going to start taking some deep breaths on this solar plexus reflex. So just gently press your thumb into the solar plexus as you inhale, and then releasing as you exhale. And we're just going to take a few breaths here. And if you can, take a little pause at the top of your inhale, and then start to lengthen the exhale. That longer exhale just works a little bit deeper into the vagus nerve. Again, just giving that instant change of your nervous system from that fight and flight response to the calming rest and digest state of your nervous system. So you can take 3 to 5 breaths here, breathing in and breathing out. And then from here, we're just going to gently rub along the diaphragm line, so we're just opening the chest. So just gliding your thumb backwards and forwards. So we can do this treatment without cream, especially when you're just using it as a quick fix for relaxation. But if you're taking your time and you're allocating some time to relax and do this treatment, you can use cream or oils on your hands as well. And then from here, we're going to move down to the adrenal reflex. So the adrenal gland is where our stress hormones are produced. So to locate this reflex, it's just sitting here. So if you see the webbed part between your thumb and your first finger, you just come down. So you can almost visualize a triangle, and it's that point of the triangle. And you'll also feel it's just beside the pad underneath the thumb of your hand. And you can just start to press in here, do some little circles. If you're under quite a lot of stress, that point will feel a little bit tender. That is quite normal. And just circling here. And then from here, we're going to move on to the thumb. So the pad of the thumb represents our hormone systems and our head reflex. So first of all, we're just going to press into the pad of the thumb. You can work quite deeply here. So this is just working into the hormone system. And then we're going to just walk down the thumb. So in reflexology, when we do what we call thumb walks, it's like a little caterpillar motion with the thumb. And you're just walking down the thumb. If you find that technique a little bit difficult, you can just press down. So just whatever you find easiest. And we're just working all the way down the head, so just relieving tension. And just doing that a couple of times. And then we're going to work down the sides of the thumb. So located here on the outside of the thumb is the pineal gland, which is linked to sleep. So if you're doing this treatment to help with sleep as well, then it's really important to make sure you're spending some time on this area. So we can actually just walk down both sides of the thumb And when you come to the side of the knuckle, you're working the jaw, so really good for tension. So you're just doing that. It's almost like a little pincer motion all the way down from the top of the thumb to the sides. And then we're going to walk down the spine. So our central nervous system is located in the spine. So again, we're just working through the nervous system. So we're taking the little thumb walk. Or if you're finding that difficult, you can just do little circles. You know, it's more about just working the points rather than the technique. And we're just calming, working down the spine, down the nervous system. Again, we're just calming the nervous system. And then from here, we're just going to gently tap. So just little taps, really, really light. And then to finally calm the nervous system, we're going to do what's called a link. So you lightly touch the top of the thumb on the brain reflex and the wrist point, and you just hold your thumb and finger there. So you're barely touching, and just take a few deep breaths here as you just let the nervous system settle. So take at least 3 breaths here, but you can stay there for longer. And then we're going to finish by coming back to that solar plexus point, and we're going to take some deep breaths once more. So breathing in as you press into the solar plexus. Hold for a moment and then exhale and release the pressure. And just notice if you feel calmer now. Breathing in as you press the pressure and releasing the pressure as you exhale. And just one more. And then from here, we're going to do exactly the same on our other hand. So just as before, we're locating that diaphragm line sitting beneath the knuckles, and we're coming to find that solar plexus, that central point. So let's start with those 3 deep breaths, pressing in as you inhale and release as you exhale. And notice now if you can do longer breaths. So you should hopefully be feeling calmer already, and you might be able to really lengthen that exhale. So perhaps breathing in for 4 and out for 6, getting that extra couple of counts on your exhale. And then again, let's sweep across that diaphragm line. Just gliding backwards and forwards, helping to open the chest and deepen the breath. Then we're going to move on to the adrenal gland. So visualizing that triangle and finding that point just beside the pad of the thumb and just circling here. And just focus on your breathing, taking just slow, deep breaths throughout the treatment. And then we're going to move on to the hormone system and the head. So let's come back to the pad on the thumb. So we're pressing some pressure into the pad on the thumb as we're working into the hormone system. And we're working into the brain. And then just like before, we're going to walk down the thumb. So taking those little thumb walks all the way down. So we're covering the head, the brain, the hormones. And then as we come down the sides of the thumb, so walking down those little pincer-like motions, and when you're coming down to the sides of the knuckle of the thumb, that's the jaw area, So any points that you particularly suffer with, so if you know you've got a tense jaw, you might want to spend a bit longer on the jaw. If you know you're struggling with sleep, you can spend longer on that pineal gland. You can adapt this to whatever you want to focus on. And then we're going to work through the nervous system. So let's start working down the side of the thumb and the hand on this side, all the way down. So those little thumb walks coming down, or as I say, you can do little circles if that's easier. And then we're going to do some little gentle taps. So tap all the way down the nervous system, just feather light motion as we really just settle and calm the nervous system. And then we're going to come into the link. So exactly the same on this side. We place the thumb on the wrist point, a finger on the brain point, the tip of the thumb, and you're just again barely touching. And just focus on your breathing again here, taking a few deep breaths. And then we're going to finish as we start with the solar plexus breathing. So bringing the thumb into position and just applying that gentle pressure on your inhale. Pause at the top and exhale, release. Breathing in as you apply the pressure on the solar plexus, and breathe out, just completely relax. And one more breath here. Inhaling, holding at the top, and exhaling, release. If you want to make that treatment longer, you can spend longer on the points on both sides, or you could just start from the beginning and repeat it so you're doing it twice on each hand. I hope you find that reflexology routine helpful. You can use it as a one-off when you're feeling stressed, but if you practice it regularly, you'll find that the feelings will last and it will help you reduce stress overall.